Story 1. My mother hid a diagnosis I got in 1991 to keep me sick. I am 37 now and disabled, and I just found out she knew the whole time. Had I had proper help, I could have had a normal life. This post is all over the place, so bear with me. I just found out I have mast cell activation syndrome. All my life, I was a sick kid, kept inside and missed out on so much. Everyone thought my mom was making me sick for attention, but it turns out she was keeping me sick for attention. I was always covered in hives and often kept out of school for long stretches of time, even when I felt fine. My parents would never take me to the doctor when I needed it as a kid. Every little cold I had turned into pneumonia. Like I never just got over a small cold easily. Yet there was magically an endless supply of pain pills and Ritalin, so she went to the doctors for herself. I'm pretty sure she was sleeping with one of the doctors to get oxy, but I digress. My grandmother would try to get me help, as would my older sister, but my parents often won. I also had untreated scoliosis. That's progressed into kyphoscoliosis now. I was supposed to have corrective surgery as a kid, but she opted out. That being said, I had a lot of back pain as a kid, but I was just fed pain pills and codeine syrup and told to tough it out. I am totally sober now, but as a teen in my early 20s, I was hooked on pills thanks to her, but I'm going off topic. My husband and I have been searching for a diagnosis for well over a decade. I've been gaslit by so many doctors and told I was fine, told to just drop some pounds and I'd feel better. My husband and my friends suspected it was something autoimmune like lupus. Lately, I've become allergic to the sun, ever since August 2023. I had this issue as a toddler and randomly in middle school as well. Seems to come and go. But I'm trying to keep track of all the things that make me flare, but I finally have answers. I just got them in a really messed up way. I reckon my mom is close to death and I guess is feeling remorse because she just told me I was diagnosed with mast cell instability in 1991 when I was a child at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. I am 37 years old now. 37! She knew this whole time. I now have a slew of health issues, a crumbling spine, crippling migraines, vision issues, urinary issues, reproductive issues, early onset osteoarthritis, and osteoporosis. I am an artist who can barely create art anymore because of the arthritic pain in my hands. Doctors say I have the spine of an 80-year-old. Perhaps if I had proper treatment or even knew about this, I would have been able to be proactive and have a normal life. It would also have been cool to have doctors listen to me so I could have found this out earlier, but maybe that is me trying to make excuses for not blaming my mom. I can't have kids. I can't have a career. I can barely walk some days. I just don't know how to digest this. Granted, my mom is a pill addict in poor health, and I guess this was a moment of clarity for her. But why now? Why watch me spend thousands and years on doctors when she knew all along? Did she genuinely forget? It seems kind of to forget your toddler being diagnosed with a rare disease at a famous hospital. My dermatologist, who is helping me with my sun allergy, said, "It makes perfect sense, but where do I go from here? All these years, was I just supposed to take a crap ton of antihistamines? Just a few pills, vitamins, steroids, and maybe some shots, and I could have had a normal life? I don't quite know the treatments for mast cell as I am just freaking learned of its existence, but I'm currently learning all about it and am on a ton of antihistamines from the dermatologist. I am so angry, and I feel so stupid. I am so hurt, yet I still feel guilty for feeling mad at her because she's bedridden and probably going to die soon. All these health issues I had, I thought they were separate, but they're all from the mast cells. My therapist years ago said I was a victim of Munchausen by proxy via medical neglect, and I didn't want to believe her, but I surely do now. She took my life from me. Granted, she has a slew of untreated mental health issues and had a life of trauma, but instead of getting help, she did this to me? I guess I really am the product of generational trauma. Her reasoning for not taking me to the doctors as a kid was, I was a very hyperactive and hard-to-deal-with child, and running to and from doctors' offices was too much. She also said that it wasn't a big deal because sometimes the symptoms and hives will go away, but that's the f***ing disease. It comes and goes. It has flares. She also says, how dare I put this guilt on her now? I also am dealing with a fairly new ADHD and ASD diagnosis. That also makes a lot of sense. Mast cell and autism often go hand in hand, I am told. I'm just so hurt and confused. Even as an adult, it still hurts to know that your parents don't give a shit about you. My sister says I should go no contact with my parents because of this recent discovery. She already has because our father is abusive too, but that's a whole other story. But I don't know how, and I feel guilty because she's probably going to die soon. I still feel this guilty duty towards her. She pulls me in somehow. My sister said she's a true narcissist. My brother-in-law says I should sue, but my parents already have such a horrible life now, it wouldn't matter, and it would just cost me time and money. I don't understand why anyone would willingly have kids to just not give a fuck about them. I also reached out to an old family friend that worked at Johns Hopkins in the 80s and 90s, and she confirmed it's true, but she says I should try to find some old medical records. They're probably on microfiche or something. I don't even know how to start that. Part of me feels stupid for sitting here feeling sorry for myself, but I don't know how to feel right now. Anyways, thanks for reading. Story 2, entitled Dad Wants Free Flight Privileges. I work for an airline and we get free flight privileges to extend to our parents, including step-parents and in-laws. But I don't particularly like my stepmother or know her very well. For context, my mother died a few years ago and my dad remarried recently. Thus, I don't want to extend the privilege to her. However, my father is upset. For context, I know he is upset because we get one friend to add, and my dad mentioned adding her as the friend, to which I told him I decide who that one friend is and that I might give it to someone else. He got upset because he says it costs him money because he covers her costs and that granting the friend pass should be automatic. After all, it helps him. For context, she doesn't make much money, and my dad provides for her mostly, especially for vacations. He went on to say that because he paid for my college tuition, room and board, provided me with a car, and gave me $20K in my savings account, I should return the favor by giving her the flight pass because it helps him save money. He feels that it's unfair if he gets it free and she has to pay. He went on to say that he would refuse free flights if I didn't grant it to her. I responded by saying I don't support the marriage and don't like her, and he said that I don't have the authority to dictate the marriage. I responded by saying that he doesn't get to decide who I grant the flight privileges to. I told him that I might not even grant him the pass with this kind of behavior, since entitled behavior might get me in trouble. He got more upset and said I was being disrespectful towards him because I shouldn't use his behavior towards me as an indication of him at the airport. He went on to say that he would refuse the privilege because of my disrespect. He went on to proclaim that not granting the flight pass to her is essentially declaring to the whole world that I don't like her. I told him that I didn't trust her enough to take responsibility for her. He said that he would be responsible for her, but that's not how it works. As the employee, me takes responsibility. I said that it's his right to marry her, but it's also his responsibility. I think he is being entitled. I especially don't like the fact that he is imposing her as a priority against my will. He has made threats of withholding my last semester's tuition and taking the car back. Thus, I'm really uncomfortable.